Okay, so before we cover particles, I think it's important to know to understand why Japanese language uses particles. And since I'm speaking in English, it's good to compare with English. And that way, hopefully you understand, first of all, why we use particles, and then when we move on to each function of the particles, I think you can really be able to use it correctly. So with that, I like to compare a lot with English since I'm teaching this for English speakers usually. So English, word order does matter. Word order in sentences in Japanese, sorry, in English. It is really important. I mean, for example, simple sentence. Takeshi killed Yui, right? Takeshi killed Yui versus if we just flip the word order of these two nouns and say Yui killed Takeshi, the meaning will be completely opposite, right? Or, for example, if I say something like sent I sent him a letter, for example. If I, for example, move this to here, I sent a letter him. This could mean I sent a letter to this person who is letter. I sent a letter him, whoever him is. I sent him to a letter. If we flip the word order. But normal sentence, this one, I sent him a letter, right? Is I sent him this letter, right? So the meaning will be totally different in English, meaning word order does really matter, right? Japanese, as long as we keep two rules, word order doesn't matter. What I mean is like these two sentences, right? Takeshi killed Yui. It is okay in Japanese to say Takeshi killed Yui, Yui killed Takeshi, and still mean the same thing. Or I sent him a letter, I sent a letter him, can still mean the same thing. We can shuffle word order and still mean one thing. That's what Japanese is. How? Particles. That's why we use particles. For example, back to this sentence, right? Takeshi killed Yui. Takeshi is the subject of the sentence. Kill Yui. Yui is the object of Takeshi killing, the action of killing. Yui is the object, right? In English, we don't need to specify saying like, hey, Takeshi is the subject. Okay, Yui is the object. We don't need to do anything. We don't need to add anything to let people know who read your sentence what you mean because of the word order. Usually in English, the first noun is the subject, usually, right? So word order does matter. Okay, so Japanese, instead of word order, caring about which noun comes first, we say something like, okay, we're gonna add this particle, wa, and this wa will say that, hey, this noun that's connected to me is the subject of the sentence. And then for UE2, we'll be like, o. We pronounce it as o, even though it's written as w, wo. When we put o to a noun as a particle, we basically saying, hey, this one, Yui, is the object of whatever the verb is, right? So with that, because we already have these particles that say people, hey, this is the subject, hey, this is the object. we can shuffle the word order and say Yui killed Takeshi, but Yui o Takeshi wa kill. And that will mean the same thing. Okay. So with that, just imagine how important word order is in English. That's how important it is in Japanese when it comes to particles. If you mess up the particles, you can mess up the entire meaning of the sentence you want to say, right? Just like these examples that I shared. If you, for example, make a mistake and put the particle that means that signifies object of the noun, right? Then you're making Takeshi being killed. If you put wa here, then you're making Yui as a subject of the sentence, right? So with that, it's really important for you to understand the function of each particle so that for each noun, you get to pick the correct particle so that as a whole sentence, whoever reads your sentences or speak to you will get what you mean. Okay? So with that, let's cover some particles. Sorry, I forgot to mention the second rule. I said um, we can shuffle the word order in Japanese as long as we keep two rules. One is the correct particle mixed with each noun. Okay, so you just have to just a basic but really important fact about particles. Particles only attach to nouns. Okay, noun. So with this, first rule is to put the correct particle. It's like a puzzle, basically. For each noun, you have to pick the correct puzzle piece. After you put each correct particle to each noun, then that's become one group. So you can shuffle the word order together with the particle. Okay, you can't leave the particles out. Second rule, main verb is at the end of a sentence. Okay, so Japanese word order, I mean, I just talked about Japanese not needing to worry about word order, but we do have just one rule. Verb is at the end of a sentence. Aside from verbs, you can shuffle any way you want. Okay, so with these two rules, I'm just gonna show you some example. Like I study Japanese and Korean with Takeshi at the library at 3 p.m. Okay, so just to remind you, each noun, right, has to have a particle, right? Let's put this for now. Okay. And then the main verb has to be at the end, right? So with this, basically, all these nouns that I circled, we can shuffle, okay? For example, I'm still talking English just to show how it sounds like in English, and it's going to sound bad, but I think it's going to be a good demonstration of how flexible Japanese can be. So for example, I can switch these word orders and be like Takeshi, Japanese, Korean, 3 p.m., library, I, study. That'll be the same meaning. Let's shuffle a little bit more. Maybe we can just go in opposite direction. 3 p.m., library, Takeshi, Korean, Japanese, I, study. All of these sentences that I have said will be the same meaning as long as we put the correct particle, because particle is the one that tell, hey, this noun's relationship with the main verb is this. Okay? So that's how important particles are. Okay. With this, let's move on.